Oh my gosh. I made it. I made it. I was able to walk to the water. I didn't think I was going to make it. I did not think I was going to make it. But I made it. My feet are throbbing. I have sand on my shoes and sand on my socks. Oh, and the car's hot. I put a little fluid on it. Oh, trying to get that sand off before I put it back in the vehicle. I got it all in my shoe and on my socks. So that's part of my lion ritual. No, I just got here. Thank you. And when the water went in, I was trying to meet the water when it came back, and then it came back. And it got my shoes and my socks and everything. But walking in that sand is definitely exercise. So I got my exercise in. I can tell the vehicle's hot. I can tell by the way it smells like rubber. Oh my goodness, look at my shoes. Look at my feet. Okay. Oh, alrighty. Oh, I got it all in the shoe too. Alrighty. Oh man. Oh, I just got here. Sorry. So I've been really focusing on myself, and as you know, doing the healing, and I got very good feedback. And this was part of my end, part of my series of events to know that I have arrived, and it was worth it. It's definitely worth it. And I went on my scratch it. So it's been pretty it's been pretty interesting, to say the least, guys. I honestly, they're happy tears, okay? And I didn't think I was gonna make it. I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. I just was talking and just letting them know how I appreciate everything that showed up for me during my spiritual journey, during my healing, during all of whatever you call all this stuff. Because as I told you guys before, I am not the guru. I can only tell you about my experiences. And they've been very, very interesting. That's all I can say is my experiences have been very interesting. But just a side note, you gotta wear your mask when you're around a lot of people. I've been kind of sliding a little bit and putting it below my nose, not over my nose. And last night, when I was working on the next video I'm putting out, my chest was hurting like it did back in 2020. So, and you know, we're one of those open border type states, and they're fighting hard. And for me, as I told you guys before, it's nothing personal. It's just I got to do what's best for me, and what's best for me is to wear my mask, wash my hands, and do what I got to do to make sure that I'm not getting sick like that. So I did my little rituals. I did everything I was supposed to do. I rang the little bells. I did all that. I wrote down all that I let go. I also wrote what I'm grateful for. And I got a little extra of the water. Let me show you. Got a little extra water, in addition to what filled my shoes and my socks. And what I touched. That was a point. So I did not think I could make it down to the beach water. And so I was, I was talking. Oh, take a look. Oops. See, I didn't realize I had it on the right way. I'm missing all the action. There it is. um, I had to shed happy tears because I didn't think I was gonna make it down to the beach. I filmed the booth with the can't hardly think now. With the beach security, just so I can remember where I had left my vehicle. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about anything but getting to the water. So I put a little transmission fluid in there and hopped out and touched the water. Came back. I've done a little work to it, so I'm grateful to get that work done. You guys know I got so much work that needs to be done to it. I don't know how long this transmission is going to hold out, so I'll be doing the transmission issue first before I do the overheating with the engine. It's clack-a-lacking and doing all that clicking, and I had other stuff that I needed to do that was on my list, so I took care of that. And today I took it out to make sure that the fluids are flowing like they need to be flowing and so forth. But when I got here, I could smell a rubber smell. So something is going on with the Jeep. You know, I don't know much. I don't know what damage was done to be able to just call somebody and say, hey, look, do this, that, and the other. How much are you going to charge me? So I'm really vulnerable in this situation when it comes to getting these repairs. Usually I would just tell them I'm having the overheating with they would find that the fan, sometimes there's electric issue and the fan was not running what it was supposed to be running. So we were going to try to change that fan out. There was a lot that we were going to try to do, but then like I told you, other damage was done. The guy messed up the bolts that you take off the fan and unhook the radiator. He warped them all the way down, where the point I have to have somebody take them off because they're smooth now. So I have to have someone that knows how to do that. And at the Jeep dealership, plus it's an older Jeep, there was one in Tucson that was really good, and the one I went down in South Carolina where the guy messed up the bolt, he did pretty good to get it running where it wasn't overheating. He did something where he lowered the when you do the tune-up, he lowered something and that helped it to not overheat. So that was somewhat good, but like I said, he messed up the bolts. So there's a lot with the Jeep, but like I said, I had it 20 years, and I don't know any other vehicle with what has been done to it would still keep it moving like it's moving and being able to get me where I needed to go and complete my journey and my healing journey. This really means a lot to me. So the least I could do for myself and my vehicle is to keep trying to get that good handyman, someone who can really with integrity do the job and treat me fairly and not overcharge me, maybe even give me a helping hand. So I've just been giving my gratitude during this Lions Portal. I didn't expect to cry. I was not expecting to cry. But I was just so happy that I was able to get to the beach water. I cannot believe I made it down there, guys. And I can feel the eyes on me. I can feel people are like, oh my God. She walking down here with that cane, girl. When that water come through, you going back with it. I can feel it. But I stood strong enough. And I turned around quick enough and grabbed my little water and got up out of there. And I didn't think I was gonna make it up that little hill. It was like a slight hill, because once my shoes got wet and everything. It was a different vibe trying to get back through that sand. It was already tough enough walking in the sand, but then with my shoes wet, my socks, it was a little bit more challenging. I was real close to that booth though. He would be like, "Ma'am, you ain't even in the water." Help. But I made it. I made it past the booth. Once I made it past the booth, then I somehow made it back to the vehicle without a ticket or anything. And my body was just aching and throbbing. And then this guy saw me and he's like, "You need to fuck your space." And I was like, "Yes." So I really appreciate them. And he said, "God bless you." And I said the same to you. And I was just so happy to get this spot. I followed them. My eyes was burning from the sweat, and I don't even have makeup on. So I don't know, salt, I guess the salt from the sweating. But it's a nice view. It gives me the chance to let the vehicle cool down. And then we got to get some more work done to it. So I'm just grateful. Just really grateful. All of it. I'm so grateful. And to have the peace. And as I said to you guys, I'm always sending that gratitude and that peace back to you guys. And I trust that you're doing what's best for you. And that you too are asking for that peace. To be able to have that peace and prosperity, you know, not just peacefully watching stuff deteriorate, but that we're able to get our money, our currency, our wealth, and our luxury during some of the hardest times, as many of our family members have done. So it may be a new era, but a very similar events, as we all know. And with us being here, that means that we made it through the last experiences, that our family members found a way to get through some of the most difficult times. And we can do the same. I know it's good to sweat, but goodness. So I'm just so grateful. That's all I'm really trying to say is how grateful I am. When I got close in, I remember, last couple of times I was here. Remember one time I drove my cousin here and a friend of mine at the time. And, you know, it always goes back to, you know, like riding a bike. So this time it was kind of easier to find a parking space. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, with the gratitude, the grace that somebody gave me. But back then I knew more people, so it was just easier to connect back then. This time around, I just kind of chose to go solo with my journey in life. I really chose to just focus on my healing. I almost reached up and drank my beach water. Oh my goodness. I almost grabbed the wrong water, guys. Here's mine. They both in the same similar cup. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Yeah. And one of the areas, they got people boiling the water, so that memory. Glad I caught myself not doing that. I was about to grab the cup. So as we're letting the vehicle cool down, and I'm talking about the rituals that is available during the Lion's Gate, and it shows the most intense time during this week, during this time period, all the way through Sunday, of rituals and things that you can do during this time frame to enhance the good energy. You know, you always say you want more, but you definitely want to be grateful, like it's the best thing that ever happened for what you did receive during this time portal, during this time frame. So Sunset Beach, show you guys, and Got an 85% rating. I think you got till 7 to hang out, and then you gotta keep it moving. So everyone seems pretty cool, like they're here for purpose, you know what I'm saying? So that's always good, uh, to be around like-minded people that's just here to rest, say the less. And let me show you. Okay, let me show you the ritual, the information. Okay, alignment. So ocean water was part of the alignment, and this is also for the new moon alignment. There goes a plane, guys, with another banner at the beach. Oops. Show live. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't get a little snack. I should have did that. I think my sugar's getting low. Trying to zoom in on the banner and it's not. Science Walla Physics 01 says hi. Hello, thank you for coming through on the channel. I think you missed me crying. They're happy tears though. I got happy tears today, guys. I was able to walk out to the beach water and mess up my shoes. My socks and everything. But I'm so grateful and I'm happy to be able to walk out to the beach. And the air feels good. I could tell when I was getting close to the beach because it's a hot day. But you can feel that cool breeze coming through. And like I tell you guys, I always love that little air hitting the cheeks. It feels like a little kiss. And it just feels really good. This is just really good for the soul. I was showing you guys the tips for the new moon alignment. Let me zoom out. Hold on. So, I don't know if you can see that. Tips for new moon alignment. And ocean water is part of Neptune. And I did what I believe to be good energy, to continue with the good energy. Let's see here. So Sunday is the new moon. Sunday, August 10th. And so we have to set our intentions at the new moon, 7 a.m. between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. And you want to go into details, thinking along with the lion figurine and the sun symbol, heart-shaped stones for the lovers card. I got to put that reading up for you guys so you can actually see what cards pulled and how it synced with the current events, where I currently am and where I'm going, and what the outcome would be, trying to do incorporate the tarot reading with my faith and belief, and trying to see something along the way that works with my agenda for myself, for my healing, and getting some feedback. And I like that with the tarot cards. I think that's pretty neat. So with all of that, the Prince of Wands is that supportive friend when you are, I don't talk a lot. So when you're in that supportive energy for that win plan, and it offers help when you focus on, like I said, the sun symbol, all the good things that you feel love you unconditionally. That's the point. And so you're planting the seeds, and you're visualizing your goals and achieving those goals. And so that's what I'm sharing with you, what I do to complete my goals. and we're letting go of any fears or any losses during this transition. And of course, I love burning my little sandalwood incense, which during that time, you're transforming with the Leo's power. And they said I have salt. I eat my salad, so I got the salt and the pepper, and you're also reversing any blocks. So you're clearing what they call the devils. But the devil card always works different for me. Um, however, but that's what it said to do, was to reverse the moon blocks. And then, we have the cellulite bowl, lotus flowers, the candles, and then, lead me to my well type thing is what you say to yourself to celebrate your plan of action. So, the King of Pentacles, of course, was the stability. And that's what we really desire during our confusing times, when you're challenged, when you feel that everything's going good for you, but there may be others that are not in good space. And sometimes they may project onto you or try to interfere with your peace. And peace is a priority. Peace is a part of our stability. And so we're taking calculated risk. We're not just taking risk for the sake of taking risk. That's why we use the dollar type scratchets, or the $2 um, crossword scratchets, something within our budget, because we are paying our bills down, we're paying them off, we're doing what we need to do. So don't stress out over it. From my understanding, how it works with credit is that as long as you don't go over that 30-day mark of that time frame of supposed to be paying that bill, that it does not ding you on your credit. So you want to make sure you get it in before it hits that 30-day mark. Now, they're including these temporary loans that we get, so I'm sure things are going to be changing up soon when it comes to that. However, to me, I still always pay my bills, and that's what I want to be known for when I establish these relationships with my creditors. And when I choose to invest in something, regardless if it's going up and down, you got to leave that money there. You cannot take it out. That's something I had to learn, especially when it came to my medical bills. And as people told me, if you have a health condition, that means you're going to always be making medical bills. So it did not make sense for me to try to struggle and pay off these bills, knowing that I'm about to make some more medical bills. So the best thing was to make arrangements and then try to go to some of these agencies and pull our money back, our resources that they're giving out to others. There's a lifeguard. That they're giving to others. And for those of us who have worked all our life, we want some of that money too. So what I don't like, and why I don't speak a lot on the immigration issue, is because I agree with both sides when it comes to those of us who have poured into this pot in generations, for generations. We've elected these people to help us with the programs in case you have a misfortune. I know a lot of people are like, well, you shouldn't rely on the government or whatever, but what are we doing? What are we voting for? Why are we doing this? And that's because a lot of us were working class, and we were raised to believe that these programs help people in their time of needs. And we were all gung-ho for the agenda, and that's what got a lot of these people elected. So now that they've redistribute these resources to immigrants, a lot of people are feeling some kind of way about it now. Some people feel you should never rely on the government, you should be independent, and so forth and so forth. All of that, I agree with everybody's point of view. However, I'm like a lot of the others. I've had generations where even our land, the church managed to finesse land from family members. They've been able to do a lot of things under this umbrella of God and loving others, when bringing a lot of these others did not give that love back. And that's why we're in the energy that we're in now, and people feel the way that they feel. So not pointing a finger at anybody, but definitely understand that those that are here are also wanting to redistribute those resources so we can help people who have worked all their life and now find themselves in a pickle and they need assistance. Um, Up on California Love, there is a article written about these little mobile homes that they have. They always label it the homeless. And unfortunately, it takes away from establishing maybe low rent for those who are getting up there in age, possibly can still work, but they're going to need some types of subsidized rent or a certain particular type of place to live. And those brand new little tiny homes that they built would be perfect to place somewhere on all this land that California has bought up, and set those up for retirees, for elderly, and the disabled to be able to live in those. I think those people should be separate from those who are chronic. And the reason that I say that is because it's a different type of pull on the resources. And those that are chronic are going to need more attention. They're going to need more facilitators and people to help them get off of some of their addictions. And it's not any type of hierarchy or anybody's better than the other, any of that kind of nonsense. This is strictly a quick way to eliminate some of the people who are going through difficult times and need a place with housing. And we've spent over billions of dollars, billions. So who I would also put in some of those in a different area are those who are military related, those who have been through all of this drama for the government. And they need a lot of help too. And I think that should be separate from, as I said, the elderly and the retirees and so forth, just because of the resources and what they need and how they can also help each other. So I'm saying all this because every time they talk about that $1 billion, and every time anybody that comes through California, they see the reality versus the talk, versus the action, versus what got these people into office. So there's some little beautiful little homes that's on the market right now. I think it's a great opportunity for somebody who is connected and has some land and may want to donate it and be useful. We got a lot of homes, we got a lot of land that's not being used, even over by the airports, etc. Yada yada yada. There's ways that we can help one another, and I think that's part of it. I truly just believe that we got to do more. We got to do more with what we have and the money and the resources. If you look at Oakland and you see what has happened after they took the money and said that they wanted to defund the police, well, you see what those neighborhoods look like now. And that's why I never really cared about the defunding the police. I cared more about humanity and how people were being treated and the resources that needed to be distributed for the mental health. We knew good and well when they defund them that they weren't going to move those funds over to mental health. Mental health needs to be priority, and unfortunately a lot of people are falling into that mental health bucket because of the current circumstances that have been going on since 2020. So people need the help and they need the resources to be moved a certain way, and I think that's the way that is the quickest way to help a lot of people real quick. So I normally don't get on here and get to talking a lot, but I feel really great because I was able to walk down to the beach, touch the water, cry a little to get that salt water out of my body, apparently, because them tears was really salty. It tastes like salitos. All I needed was a lemon to scoop up them salty tears. And we almost drank even the water that I got down there. So I just feeling like if my 2 cents counts, I never know who's listening. That's how I would do it. That's how I would use the billions of dollars that has been donated. I do have my nonprofits And like I said, I would use it for those that have worked all their life, that are at that age wherever they got injured, whether they're on SSDI. SSDI is a little bit different. This is where they qualify for Medicare, Medicaid, and everything else because they're in that middle ground. They're getting money, but not enough money. And what I didn't like when I listened to the interview that's up on California Love is when she said, well, they can't afford to live in California. Well, that billion of dollars that you guys got together for the homeless, they can afford to live here. They can afford to live here because they've worked and they've earned it. They can afford to live here because some of that money should be going to them. They should be raising their voice and say, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Let's do this instead of what you guys are doing. See, I think it's horrible that you can get up there and proudly say something like that and then turn around and tell these people who've worked all their life that maybe they should go somewhere else. They voted you in there, and I think that they need to also vote for some help. Vote for your help. Vote for your lifestyle. Vote like it matters. I don't know what's going on with everybody, but it's just crazy times, and it's time to make a change of how we're doing things. We got a lot of resources that are just wasting away. So once again, if there's some land somebody wants to donate, if somebody's serious about doing some of this stuff and want to raise the money, get the money together and buy some of this stuff that they're putting out there in these news articles, and somebody who has the land that want to lease it for a minute, um, for a couple of years, whatever, however that they want to do it. And if it could be a tax write-off, if that's what we need to do, then that's what we do. I still have the Asilla Urban Foundation. That one has a very good reputation. If you what is it, DNS, DNA, whatever the hell, you can find out the information about it. The Ladies in Distress is still a good organization. It's just I never did renew it again. And we still, for what some of the stuff that I still had, I still gave out the book bags, the school material, and the computers that I had left. I still gave that out to students. So I just got rid of a lot of stuff because I got all the storage units emptied out. I'm down to one now. I combine all of those papers, and so I've been sorting. My shoes messed up. I was going to show you the papers that I have with me today, because that was my plan, is to continue sorting through the papers and throwing away the stuff that I no longer need. I've had these papers for over the 20 years, like as long as I've had this vehicle, and it was time to just let go of what no longer serves me. I have no use, no value for those things. Nobody's looking for those things. Nobody's oh, look at the birds. Isn't that neat, that coordination there? I don't know if you can see it on my camera. I don't think you can see it. You can see the birds. There you go. So, that's part of my goal today, and my little ritual thing is just getting rid of stuff that just no longer serves me, that I just no longer need. And I went to the storage, grabbed some more stuff, um, and had a different guy look at the vehicle. And as I've just been sitting there sorting through stuff and still scheduling my apartment, still scheduling to have the vehicle little work done, but I need a major work done, not just a little tune-up stuff, oil changes, all that kind of stuff. I got a lot of stuff that needs to be done, so I'm still looking for a really good, honest mechanic that has some kind of integrity, that's not just going to take the money and then send me a bad check and tell me that they're refunding my money, and send me two checks, one of them for 3 something, the other one for 3 something, and one of them bounces. Just some real good people that's not playing games, that's on business and wants to do a good job, not just get the money. So it's been difficult to find that, and that's why I'm saying it over and over again. Um, you want to be able to read people, but I know people are going through a lot, so Um, you still just because you want the work done. At least I know I want the work done. I get tired of talking about it. I get tired of even hearing myself talking about the repairs. But I do love the fact that this Jeep is so old and it's still kicking. It's still fighting. It's still in there. And people have done stuff to her. And Sahara's just like, I'm getting my girl where she needs to go. So I'm so grateful. I am so, so, so grateful today. Is this cool look air kiss that comes through when the wind blows feels really good. And I'm still shocked that I made it. I'm still shocked that I was able to walk on the beach with my cane and make it down to the water and walk back and messed up my shoes. Oh my goodness. I don't have a lot of shoes. I did not think that through. I should have took my socks off and I should have took my shoes off when I headed down to the beach. I don't know what I was thinking. Um, I guess I could throw my once I take the sand off the shoe. Let me show you what it's looking like. Once I take the sand off the shoe, I guess I can throw them in the laundromat and clean them up. And this is after I dusted them off. This is after I took the time to knock them against the cement to get rid of some of the sand. This is what's left. And the socks, I tried to use the socks to wipe them down, and all it did was stick more. So I guess once it dries a little bit, perhaps I'll be able to get more of the sand off. And every time I talk, I got to remember that that is not my drinking water. My drinking water is here, not there. So I don't want to accidentally reach up and drink it. Oh goodness. So I have my big garbage bag with me, and as I said, I will sort through the rest of the papers that I picked up. I'm going over my action, my plan of action for this weekend, my goals that I set for myself, and I'm just sharing with you what's working for me. So I hope that all of this helps someone. I don't know who, but I will put up some of this on my YouTube channel and of course on my TikTok for as long. I think they said that TikTok's going to be out of here August or September. I'm not sure. You know how that goes. We shall see. So on Twitch, I have not left anything on there. I will be on Twitch and live. I will be going live, not just dumping videos or anything like that. We will be doing our lives on there too, especially when I want to get my workout in. And the workouts will be on the beach. That's the plan. Today was just a really good day. I'm impressed that I was able to walk on the beach with the cane, my feet sinking down in the sand, getting all in my shoe. I do have some sandals, but I don't know if I can walk in those sandals on the beach the way that my feet was sinking and stuff. I mean, the shoes did what they were supposed to do, but I didn't want to ruin my good pair of tennis shoes. And I don't know how this is going to work. So I guess I will be shopping for another pair of shoes and just keep these as my beach workout shoes. So indeed, it's just a beautiful day. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to be able to get this parking space, and the guy guided me to it. Oh, may this good happiness that they too experience, the peace and the prosperity peacefully. because I'm telling you that gratitude is just amazing. It is amazing. And I always say, regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be all right. So maybe that's why I cried, is because a lot of times I just don't have enough faith in myself. And I'm going to tell you honestly, I just kept telling myself, I don't think I can. Well, okay, let me take it back. Driving here, sitting in the vehicle, I told myself I can do this, I can win, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing my little talk to myself. But when my car started smelling like rubber, and I had to put a little bit of fluid in it and let it cool for a minute, and then I just hopped out of the car and I said, I'm going to do this. I got my little cup and I said, okay, I'm not sure if I can make it all the way to the beach, but I'll get some beach sand. I'm here at the beach. I'm here. Okay. The unconditional love, um, all that supports me unconditionally and loves me unconditionally. Um, I'm doing this, and I appreciate the support. Appreciate the unconditional love. My oath to God, all of this means a lot to me. So I appreciate you getting me here. I appreciate having the gas in my car. It was the best price that I was able to find in a long time, around that $3 mark. I had prayed for $1 gas. That was my prayer. But I am happy to get three. But the dollar is what I prayed for in California. That's how I knew for sure that we're talking about a miracle. If I ever saw $1 gas, yes, God has come through. Because that's the only way I felt that for sure we're going to get that $1 gas, as if a miracle as such came through. But the $3 was good. I got it at Sam's Club early morning before the heat. And I'm grateful to have my credit to be able to do so, because that's what I use to get the gas. And it's been huge changes of how I used to do things. I always used cash. I always use cash. I love cash. Cash to me is king, will always be my king in my life. And maybe that's what died. Was the cash king? I don't know. But I trust, as I told you before, that it's going to all work itself out peacefully. And I'm just grateful for the peace and to be able to get things done. I am so grateful to be able to get things done, to be able to walk on the beach with my cane. Um, my feet kept sinking. And I know I keep bringing that up, but it is really a workout to walk, even to try to run, to walk fast, swift walk, because to get the heartbeat going, that's what helps burn fat. That has always been a tip when I was studying sports psychology and sports medicine and all that stuff, was that the heart rate, and how you get your heart rate up there, the heartbeat and everything, helps you to burn the fat and um, helps the body to burn what it needs to burn and do what it needs to do. And I did it. I did it when I walked on this beach. That was the best workout. I was sweating. I was breathing hard. My heartbeat was up there. And I was doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And then the closest I got to that water, and then I saw the, what is that, kelp um, on the beach. And there was space. There was room for me. And they were looking at me like, oh, Lord, this lady about to get washed away. I can feel their little energy like, oh, Lord. So I made it, and I had my little cup. And one guy even moved out of the way. And when that water went out, and I knew it was going to come back in, but I didn't expect it to kind of wet me up like that. But that's cool. So I got my water, I got my sand, and I even got a turquoise colored something out there. And I thought I was supposed to buy something turquoise. So when I'm having my quiet time, and they say that's when you get your answers and your feedback and everything, the turquoise has been on my mind for some time now. And when my mother got sick and before she died, I had some insight because she had had her first stroke, and then at that time I knew it was a high possibility within a couple of years that she probably would have another stroke. So I had told her to do a couple of things. She didn't do that, and I had to let go. That was really very challenging because that's my mother, and those were challenging times. That was when it was really, that's what I mean by the peace and the grace. And I was taking that Amtrak train every weekend back and forth from California to my mother's place, back and forth, back and forth. And then I just started taking my laundry with me, washing at her place, and just having a routine. And then all of a sudden, something was weird. I didn't know what it was. You know how people don't say nothing. They just look at you and they act like they know more about you and your family than you do. And all I could do was go in and just trust and have peace about it, to know that I'm going to be all right. And for the longest, I knew that I was supposed to be back in California anyway with my Aunt Sarah. So when she, Watts, I think she stayed at a retirement uh, place in Watts. Is ever Watts or Compton? One of the two. Her friend is in Compton, and I think the retired place was in Watts. So she said, "You come stay with me." And I was like, "Aunt Sarah, I am not staying with you with no red Jeep in Watts." And going back and forth to Compton and Watts and all these other little locations, visiting family and friends. Because that's how I knew a lot of our family when I was little, because she would always travel and see different family in Texas and Oklahoma, Kansas, Midwest, all over the place. California is where she had a lot of her friends, Oklahoma, Texas, and so forth. So we were always traveling. Whatever was moving, Aunt Sarah and I was in it, on it, rode it, and got there happily and peacefully. And so I think she just always saw me as that little girl. So it was hard for me to get her to do things, get her to know that she's getting older. I mean, she still act like she was a spring chicken, and she was part of the Golden Girls team, and they still wanted to do stuff. So it was hard, as I told you, as a caretaker, to do my own thing. Um, eh, that's why I say I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to even have someone that loved me and wanted me to be there, even if it wasn't for selfish reasons for her, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But a lot of times people don't want to be lonely. And a lot of family members didn't, when they got old like that, they were a lot of times on their own. So I would try to travel to see all of them, make sure the house was up to par. So when we set up resources for them to come in and make sure the Meals on Wheels or somebody came through, and make sure that they were straight with their medicine and their refills and all that good stuff. So this is before you had the delivery type places that deliver food, and that they can use an iPad, for those that are still able to do so, to order food and get things done. This is before all of that was going on. So you have ideas of different type of businesses, and then voila, all of a sudden those businesses are produced because there's a demand for it. But a lot of people really weren't interested because they didn't feel there was a lot of money for the elderly and the disabled. So that's what I wanted to do with my Ladies in Distress, um, was to deal with women who maybe couldn't do one job because they got injured on the job, and maybe they had SSDI, but they still wanted to be functioning in society. And you can still make some money, disabled. They just, certain amounts that you can't make over. So I wanted to work in that field because I remember what it was like with Aunt Catherine and a lot of my elder family members, especially in Kansas and everything. But in Kansas, there were so many of them. I don't know if y'all have any family in Kansas, but they know everything. They know everything about everybody. They know what I'm doing right now. They know everything. They really, they the Golden Girls. So family in Kansas, they have never lost a beat. and I love them all. I am so grateful. Like I said, as a child, I stayed with a lot of them, and I would catch the plane by myself. I'm grateful for my uncle who paid for all of that, financed my lifestyle, and my cousins and aunts that would pick me up um, at the last minute. And sometimes they would drive all the way from Oklahoma to Texas to pick me up and take me to Oklahoma. So I don't know nobody's family that operate like that. Most people would have been in child protective service or custody of somebody. So I am forever grateful. And at this age, you're like, are you still talking about that? But I'm telling you guys, I can't believe a lot of the stuff that today, what stressed me yesterday, today is like, okay. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for all, even my Mexican family members, my Choya family members, my uh, from Spain family members, and those in Hawaii, um, those that are, what do they call them, Pacific Island Pacific. I could go down the list. So I'm grateful for all of you, and I'm just grateful. I'm really happy. I'm really happy to be at this place, be grown and have my own. I really like that. And I do miss them. I just miss their energy. And I did think long and hard about that, because there was a part of me that it was at the house that I missed being able to go to all these different houses and just be and do my own thing. Was it that? I kept trying to put my finger on what is it that I love so much, and a lot of it was just them. Our family was very close knit, especially when we were younger. They used to do our hair alike. We used to wear our clothes alike, even all the way up to the ones that were 18 years old. We all had on the same sewn. They would make our clothes too, or we would buy the same stuff. Like, how people dress their kids similar to them? Well, that's how they did us. And they didn't want us to feel a certain kind of way because my dad had a dry cleaner, so I always had really expensive stuff because he owned a dry cleaner. So he would just send me leather jackets, leather pants, and my aunts were like, she can't go to school like that. She can't wear no leather pants. Elementary school? What is wrong with you? He was like, why not? That's what I said to her. How come she can't wear what I sent her? And so anyway, they would make stuff for us too, and they would buy stuff and shoes and everything. Everybody dressed the same. But as they begin to pass on and move on and become these great spirits that look over and watch over us, that we mention in our gratitude, things begin to change, and the world was different. And I could tell when one of my cousins came to visit me at the house that we had at that time. She was talking about it, and I was surprised that she said it, because I said I felt the same way, but what was it? But one thing we both could agree on is that everything just had changed. Now, I told her, for me, I felt like it was the religion issue that separated a lot of us, because some of them were Jehovah's Witness, some of them were Baptist, some of them were Pentecostal, some of them were Catholic. They were all, some were Muslim, they were all different in their religion. And then some didn't really practice like that. So I told her that I thought that was the biggest divide, unfortunately. And a lot of them just got older, and they didn't have the control anymore. So a lot of them stopped going over to visiting Sarah, especially when she wasn't driving anymore. I think Uncle sold her car. something happened to her car. She was looking for her car. That's one thing about the elders, is when they get older, somehow their car disappears. And they're looking for the vehicle. And they can't drive anymore. That was the first major thing, and then everything from then on just really changed for them. So after all of that, it just was me now. And so this is the first time that I've worked on myself, like had that me time. So when people talk about like karma or things that's done to people, or have you ever, everybody's been mean at one time, or everybody's done something, so forth, so forth. I didn't have that kind of lifestyle. Like our family, we were almost like the Waltons or something that you see on TV. We were such a close knit like that, we owned our homes. Um, they had their own gardens, and they used to fish, and they had their own little network. People say tribal. I wouldn't say they were tribal, because our communities were family, but they were family through our O negative base family members. So even though one may have married a Hispanic, or one married a black, or one married a white, or one, you see what I'm saying? We all was looking different. And so we were still family. And depending on what they married into, that was sometimes part of our network. So we didn't go outside to hear a lot of the mean spirited stuff that people experience, because our communities were tight like that. Even the school that we went to, although people were identifying differently, but we were still part of the same family. So they were like, what do you mean? Like some people that came in to teach, and we always had substitutes, because people didn't understand the community. Some were speaking Spanish, some weren't. Um, we just all looked different, but then we were getting along, and they didn't quite understand it. So as time went on and people died out of that community, it changed. But we still had not experienced what the world is today. So being at my age, perhaps I am naive about some of this stuff, because um, we didn't experience that kind of racism. It just didn't exist. Nobody was running around talking about whiteness, and nobody was talking about blackness like that. However, when we traveled and ran into people who were like that, there were always folks that kind of stuck up for us because of family, because they were our family. And I can go on about that, about how some of them who looked a certain way, let's just say white or something, a lot of times they had to do the business just to keep the peace. So as a kid or the youth or whatever, they would tell the ones that were 18 or whatever to take us to go play or to go do something, so we weren't in grown folks' business. So we didn't get to hear a lot of times some of the underhanded comments or shit that people say, because we didn't be in grown people's business like that. Like we had um, things to do, and they, which maybe wasn't so great if you were 18 and you wanted to be out and about. Everybody had something to do, whether you were cooking, whether you were babysitting, whether you were studying. Everybody had something to do. If you were playing a sport, braiding hair or whatever, everybody had something to do. So I didn't hang out. I never hanged out. I didn't hang out till I was like 40 something years old, and I still didn't know how to really hang out. Um, and the only reason that I start hanging out now is because of the wheelchair issue. They didn't fix the wheelchair, but they charged Medicare and got paid. And then I had no way. I didn't have a house that was wheelchair accessible, or a wheelchair mobility, and the state, any state. So when they say, well, you can't afford California, hell, you can't afford anywhere when you're disabled and you don't have more than just SSDI. So that kind of talk to me, it's like, let me get all these people who are on Social Security SSDI, and let's try to get together and have them to pull some of them resources over to us, because right now it's going elsewhere. And we worked hard. We worked hard and good and had integrity, and we weren't trying to steal nobody's money or do something on the side or low or however they call that stuff now. Um, it was very good workforce. You don't have that kind of workforce anymore. It's different now. So um, I just kind of don't really say much, because people are say stuff to you and it's like, what are you talking about? And they come at you, you know they're trying to be nasty, you know they're trying to start something, but if you're not used to that type of environment, it's like, what is wrong with you? Who does that? But apparently a lot of people does that. So like, I'm dealing with the phone company, like I'm trying to set up the payment arrangement, and then it says I got to cancel it. So then when I cancel the phone arrangement that I made, it doesn't allow me to do the arrangement that I had. And the only thing I was trying to do is combine the current bill with the old bill and just have everything paid on a particular date. Now all of a sudden they don't want to give me that offer anymore. And I'm like, how do they do that now? But they've outsourced so much, and so uh, the customer service is different. And it's like they don't really care if they do business with you or not. I don't understand that type of energy now. Like, they really don't care. Before, they know people need their phones. They know people are working and trying to be more mobile now, because everything is almost internet to get stuff done. And so they don't care. Like, they will leave you on hold or whatever for hours, people. They will waste your time. They will waste your time. When did companies start doing that? And then they don't care. They don't care about the service. They don't care about the product. They don't care if they put 100% cotton and it's actually nylon. They don't care. So I just was shocked, because what am I supposed to be doing here if I'm trying to heal and I'm trying to find the right products for myself? I'm buying stuff, and then when I get it, it's not what they advertised. So I'm used to that you can't advertise something and sell it a certain way and it's not the real deal. I'm not used to this era. I'm not used to the era of this money grab. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to move through this era. And I'm 55, and it's not that you get your feelings hurt. It's just, it's not a good energy. It's not like it was. And I know that things have changed. I know they've changed. But I'm just stating, I don't know what to do with this. So for me, of course I go inward. Of course I focus on my health. Of course I'm doing calculated risks to be able to win something extra, to get a second vehicle so I can still get this one fixed. I'm a car enthusiast too. I love vehicles. I like going to the car shows and traveling and taking the pictures and going back to places such as this beach that I've been all up and down California. So it's not going to be just this one beach during my youth and stuff. So I wanted to share all this with you guys and show you my aunt's old house that when she married her second husband, she didn't have that. They sold the house, and my auntie had got sick and so forth, and she said they were taking care of her and everything. So that house is no longer in the family. And then there was a lot of other houses too. And then when people were buying up houses as such, a lot of them were sold. So I didn't have the garage to put the vehicle in anymore. And these people will just come and start tearing up your cars. They start doing stuff to your vehicle. You don't know them. So other people don't know that you don't know these people, that they're just not in a good space, and they're taking it out on your vehicle. So all of this, like I said, I'm not used to this. And whether it's race related or just they have mental illness or both, I still don't know in a society what we're supposed to do with that, especially after we came out of this defund the police type stuff. And then the police are angry, and then they see you and they see a person of color, a woman of color, and then it's just a lot. And it's like, okay, we're the normal people. We're the people that know not everybody think the same way. We're not monolithic. And how can I help you today type thing. Instead of assuming that now you have these great powers that you can read people's mind and that they are up to mischief. So I don't know. I just don't like to really get on here talking about a lot because I don't know. I can't... I have no advice because I grew up in a different world. And the closest thing that I can relate to others is that my aunts being nurses. So one of them worked for like industrial type nurse on site of a, say like a Google or a Texas Instrument, something like that, that kind of nurse on their facility. I can relate to stuff like that because I can tell you about my aunt and that kind of stuff. I thought that was the best damn job ever. I thought, oh, if I wanted to follow in the footsteps, that would have been one of them. But then I had the other aunt that worked at one of the oldest hospitals in Tucson, and she was very well respected and loved and known, and can relate in that area of who she worked with and the type of community people that came in and out of those hospitals. So that type of work and having a conversation with somebody, because when we were growing up, they said you want to be a nurse, you want to be some type of caretaker, and some people didn't want to do all that schooling, but there was still good money to be made in doing caretaking, taking care of the elder. So there are a lot of options and opportunities. But for me, my goal was in anthropology, just because knowing my family tree. And I wanted to prove that O negative blood type. Now, it wasn't trying to say, oh, we're not from Africa, but it was not an African gene. And that's what I was trying to prove, that the Africa came to us here, that were already here on this soil in America. And not only did Africa come here, but that subhuman, before we became the humans that we are, they met here. And we could prove it with our genes. So that's what I was trying to do. And when that 23andMe came out and all that testing came out, and it confirmed, because people were getting on YouTube talking about it, I thought this is going to be a piece of cake. I can put together the family tree and everybody who wants to be on the internet, because you could take the information, it's out there, and put stuff together and tell your tree, your family tree, and who these people are and how our O negative blood type and everything. Now, the part that I didn't care for is how they later were identified. Remember how I told you we were reclassified? And for those that look a certain way and had a certain wealth when it came to land and stuff like that, they were reclassified under white. But the others that lived northern up, they were classified under native, and so forth and so forth. And some of them were black Indians, and their land is always the first one that they tried to snatch first. There was always issues as time went on, and as they were no longer under the Spanish and all that kind of stuff. So the names kept changing, and the relationships kept changing with under the different, let's say, jurisdiction, under the different people and places. So under the Spanish, they were called one thing, and so on and so forth. So during all this time, my family that kept in touch the most were in places like Virginia, Colorado, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas, Mexico, California, Washington, Canada, and throughout Europe. So when something would happen, and they had their own ships, they had their own stuff. These people weren't under the government. So when fights and wars would break out, they weren't part of that. They had their own thing. And what I wanted to tell in the book was how they started messing with them, is that they started trying to, that's why I say they were bullying them. They tried to tax them on their own land when they didn't pay taxes before. They told them they couldn't fish without license now. On their own land, they had to have certain stuff done. They had to be able to prove papers. There was a lot of manipulation that took place, how a lot of them lost out. So the book was just to talk about these people who were not only a different blood type, but they lived differently. And it didn't mean that they didn't mix and mingle with slaves or yes or no or any kind of thing, but there were some people that existed here, and that's what it was about. But once all that other craziness came into the picture, um, I decided to not put all of their names and stuff like that. But then I found it was very easy for people to kind of figure out who was who because of the land and the areas that I was talking about, especially when I named Nebraska and I named that land that was in Utah. So all of this has been written ever since I was a child. And back to the anthropology that I was telling you guys about that I wanted to put together, they took that out of U of A. U of A used to have a program back in the day under anthropology, and they removed that program. And they were trying to expand. Some people were trying to expand through Pima Community College, because in Tucson you could walk around and those arrowhead pieces were just lying everywhere. And when they would dig to build something, they would find different historical stuff. And people would try to fight to be able to document it and everything, and they would always dismiss it. Sometimes they wouldn't even talk about it. And then once they found a couple of people, they thought it was a burial ground, and it was a lot. And they still would not respect, you know what I'm trying to say, the sovereignty of it all and so forth, especially when the university was buying stuff. And long story short, they did not want us to be able to tell that story. And when I always say they, I hate that. I hate when it's like, who the heck is they? What are you talking about? But at that time, now it's a little bit more acceptable, but having that artifact, having that piece of information, and to now to would have been able to test a lot of the bones and the stuff that we found, we would have really been able to confirm what we already knew. So I was heartbroken over that. And the guy that is the professor that was saying he thought a lot of people already knew stuff about California. I don't know if you remember during the Pima College times, and this other girl who I think she identified as white and everything, but she had native genes and everything. And so we were talking to him because they had a way that if you had someone who had the education and the credentials, you could raise the money and do the research. You just had to have certain people in place, and then the rest of us could get it done, so to speak. But they have to have somebody to overlook it. And that was kind of like how they were doing things back then. Now it's a different world. But that also went with when blacks owned certain things, they always wanted an overseer, whether it was money or something that they were putting together. They changed the rules where you have to have someone with a certain degree, a PhD level, a doctor's. You had to have certain people in place in order to do what you wanted to do, or they would shut your agenda down. So in the 80s and 90s and so forth, there were a lot of people that did a lot of researches with the university, and there was a lot of conflict about it. And a lot of those people, stuff happened. Like how we're looking at things now with plane crashes and all that kind of stuff. Stuff would happen. And we just never really got it documented like it needed to be documented. So here we are today. And then they're still saying silly stuff like it's alien, O negative, or whatever and whatever. But we could have proven at that time who these people were because they were family. Just like the guy that moved to South Carolina who has the gene that is not from Africa, but he's black. And he lived in Arizona at one time and he chose to move down there. So that's where he wanted that's a whole nother story. And that's how they stumbled on to his DNA and so forth. And a lot of this because somewhere in the military, the government already had a lot of this information, especially about my family, because there was a song way back that when I was a kid, my uncle and I had helped him write. And he said, I'm going to pay you guys once, all this, whatever, and he didn't. And the guy who produced the music and did all that, he was aware of it. But long story short, of course, you never get the money paid. You hear these stories all the time. And they started together on the military base. They were roommates. So a lot of them met other people through the military. And when the military got their blood type in case of emergency, whatever, they knew what their blood type was and so forth. And that's how a lot of people knew of us, because of that O negative blood type. So anyway, I had notes since I was a kid because that's how I learned how to write. And that's why I was using all of those notebooks that I had. And I had left them over to my mother's place, some of the older ones from my elementary years. And then I had the other ones. So I started also renting storage units to store a lot of this stuff too. But my Aunt Sarah had a lot of stuff of our Asian side of the family. And they used to also import furs and minks. She had minks. I love minks. If there's ever a fur that I like the way minks looked. But I know a lot of people, the animal cruelty thing. But as a kid, I didn't know all that stuff. And we didn't watch TV, so I was unaware of that movement until I got of a certain age and in college and so forth. And the strongest movement at that time was the gay agenda, more so than the animal cruelty thing. And I didn't grow up like that, so I didn't really know. I didn't know all that kind of stuff until I went to college. There was nobody talking about it in our household. And I still was trying to put the book together, and I noticed the other people who were the same blood type weren't looking like me. And their family tree and their history and stuff, a couple of times I would find people that were from similar same areas, and that's how I got more and more information during my college years. But I never found it to be easy to be able to tell this story and to be able to document it and put it in writing and share it as something of value. So I didn't expect my aunts to pass. I just thought they were going to be like 100 and something years old. I never thought of a time when they would not be in my life. I didn't see that happening. So now at this point, there are so many things that I want to focus on. There's so many things that I wanted to do. But at this age, I also enjoy peace. And the peace kind of outweighed everything else. And that's where I am today. Just the healing and the peace. And I still have desires to do certain things. But I also understand the limitations when it comes to that wealth now. And even with my mother's house and my brother feeling like it was his, I have no idea of what happened with all of that. I don't even know what happened to her dog. That's the space of stuff that I had to let go of because I wasn't going to stress out of not knowing. And this is my mother. So it was a challenging time to have to let go to be able to take care of myself. And California's home for me. So if there's something worth fighting for, it's always yourself. Especially when you worked your entire life and then you hear something about billions, just wasteful money, and just wasteful food, everything, just waste. They have no structure anymore. And you could have fear about what our future is going to look like when you see these small towns and how they've taken the jobs out and they've outsourced everything, that nobody has jobs anymore. They can't afford to buy anything. The whole town dies out. And downtowns don't, when they're not safe and they don't have policing, those areas die out. And you see what that looks like. Tucson goes up and down when it comes to downtown. And the only thing I think that really saved Tucson is the fact that they have now where you catch the bus down there and the youth getting to the different schools and so forth and getting around. But without policing and security and stuff, nobody's going to risk their life trying to get to somebody's business. So the future does look bleak in that sense. But yet, if you are savvy, computer savvy, and all the other new inventions, you can possibly make a lot of money. But everything in my lifestyle has never been about money. And it's not tribal either. So I don't find myself fitting in a lot of these agendas. But because I had Atari and a lot of these other computer stuff, I like the gaming. But my mental, how I think, isn't quite the same as the newer generation, just because of the way I was raised. But I love computers, I love music, and I love designing stuff. And even though I don't go into the details because it's on my phone and I'm using free stuff, doesn't mean that I don't desire to want a higher end computer. I've had a game computer before and I ended up selling that. I got really good money on that. 'Cause that's one thing, if you buy something of really good quality, and then you sell it, say within that next year or two, you can do pretty good depending on what you bought it for. When it's time to sell something, like, don't keep holding on to it. If you're not going to use it, make that decision and go ahead and sell it. And then as you're building your money, then get something better, go to the next step or whatever it is, especially when it comes to computer and gaming and stuff like that. I used to hang on to a lot of the stuff just because I like the computer. And certain computers I like working with. But now looking back, the quicker, when I close that cap, the lid of that computer, and I don't open it for a month or so, it needs to be sold, instead of waiting and trying to wait until a better time to use it again. Like, I'm not using that. Let me sell it. So that's what all of this clean up and clean out stuff has been about, is that I'm literally not using this stuff. I'm spending money on a storage unit, and it has my bundle of winter clothes and a bunch of papers, stuff that I'm not using. But I don't like to spend a lot of money on clothes because they're no longer making the stuff that I like. And then the stuff that I do like is really expensive. And even if I wanted to finance it, I got to finance like $1,000 worth just to get a top and a bottom, just to get an outfit. That outfit would cost me like around $1,000. So the climate, the era, everything has just changed so drastically. And you got to almost fight for everything now. It's not community oriented. The input of my elders when they were alive on this earth made a difference when it came to resources. But when they started outsourcing those resources and redistributing those resources to immigrants, then everything changed. Our community changed, our structure changed. People couldn't bounce back as quickly because they weren't able to get the resources they need during their time of need to bounce back. And a lot of times that's what it's about. If you get in a car wreck or something happened to you, you're in the working class, you're trying to get the physical therapy, you're trying to get whatever surgeries, you're trying to do whatever you need to do so you can get back in that game of the workforce and being the best that you can be. If you're not able to bounce back and you have to sit it out, tap out, um, years will pass you by and you're not accomplishing the things that you used to do, but you could still be productive and get things done and have a life that may be a little bit easier than what you had planned. And that's what I ended up doing, because I really needed the wheelchair. I didn't have a home that was wheelchair accessible. Everybody ever had stairs upstairs or downstairs. And then when they sold the last house that I could possibly use, because it had a garage and I could sit in the garage and just wait it out safely inside the garage, they ended up selling that house. So I didn't have anywhere where I could sit without somebody messing with me, because they see the Jeep, they want to come over, and people like Jeeps. And they may be mad that my black face is sitting here in the Jeep and it's my Jeep. I even had this little Hispanic kid that kept lying, telling people it was his Jeep. And I'm like, what the hell was wrong with this kid? And then he would keep trying to buy the damn Jeep. And I'm like, there's no for sale sign. And then one guy wanted to get in the Jeep. Tell me he just wanted to look around. I'm like, did you put anything in here? Anytime that you buy something and leave it in this vehicle? And he's like, gosh. And I'm like, how are you going to act appalled? And you trying to steal my stuff. And I tell you, that's what I found in California, that they were like, they had the right. They have the right to steal your stuff or take your stuff. So it is different. It is different in the city and dealing with immigrants who are used to being cared for. So they expect everybody to do that for them. But what they throw on the side is disability rights and the disability advocates. Like, we get the least money in our area when it comes to disability help. Like, they take our money and give it elsewhere. So I understood when people were complaining to me and wanted me to sign these different papers when I would catch the train back and forth from Arizona to California to see my mother. I didn't get it back then. And I'm so sorry that I didn't get it then, because I wasn't having those experiences. Like I told you guys before, my family members always own their own house. They always own their own houses. And we didn't grow up in the projects. We had a different lifestyle. So we didn't know anything about police brutality and all the stuff that goes on today. We didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. But what we learned real quickly is how certain people were treated and did not get that abuse that they were giving to our community. So we knew that much. We kind of figured that much out real quick and knew that that they knew the difference. They knew how to really handle people when they want to versus when they were being abusive. So we knew that they knew that much. But what my family did not understand, because they were professionals and they were engineers, they were doctors, they were all these different special type of work, middle class people, that they didn't understand that type of racism. They didn't understand that that was going on. So when rap came out and these kids were talking about that, they didn't like rap just because they didn't understand it. They didn't grow up like that. So they did not understand, and especially the N word. Once they heard that, they shut down, closed off, and never tapped into rap music ever again, and couldn't understand why we were dancing and listening to stuff like that. And they thought it was just disgusting, and they thought that it was very ignorant to go along with that agenda with the rap game. So that distance a lot of the relationships with our elders. That was part of it. And then when the government came in with the war on drugs, but they had distributed the drugs to our neighborhoods, that was the craziest time, because these beautiful people that I told you that were nurses, doctors, professionals, and had their own homes in their own neighborhoods before they drew the lines and put the freeways through them, we would have fun. People would just talk. We're like, girl, how you doing? I mean, it was totally different. Oh, such and such is having a party, and such having a sale. They would plan events. And this is where a lot of times when it came to the white and black issue that we didn't know exists, The white people would say, well, why would you spend that much money on a party? One thing about black folks, we will put an event on and have a good time. We will spend our money in a way to enjoy um, each other's company and be present. And whether we drink wine or Jack Daniels, you name it, they family members. So Jack and all the crew and all the brew and beer and everything else, they like family. Like, we trust them better than we do some of our own people. But the point being is that we just were structured different. And a lot of people did not understand why we would spend money like that. And they, a lot of times, would want to take the money because they didn't like the way our communities were spending it. And all of this wasn't looked at as a problem at that time. We didn't have all this internet and social media and stuff. So you would hear it on the grapevine of somebody getting shut down, or they didn't have a license. That was the other thing. When black people threw parties and stuff, they didn't go get the license. They didn't talk. They would invite the neighbors sometimes, or sometimes they would just throw the party. They would have the barbecue. They would, you know, do what they do, and we didn't spend a lot of money on the licensing type part. So a lot of times the police would come, shut it down, and you get those stories about what happened when the police came through. But other people who were in the projects and stuff, they don't know those stories. All they know is what they experienced. And so they were on the news. Our type of lifestyle didn't make the news. That fun stuff, the community stuff before the freeway came through, it was never distributed like that. It was never known until maybe somebody made a movie that kind of touched on it. But what was prominent about black people was the worst of the worst. And that's how it deteriorated to what it is today. But a lot of people don't know the land owning. They don't know the mixing of the Hispanics and the blacks and the Cubans and Venezuela and all these different people. And how Venezuela has worked so hard to get that blackness out of there. So a lot of people don't know about all this stuff. And even blacks went through their era of the light skin, good hair, picking those women for movies and entertainment industry, and what people saw and how they accepted blacks to look a certain way and didn't expect um, the other blacks to be in the industry. But the Europeans would take the other blacks that had talent, that looked with darker skin and short hair. So those two agendas were still going, and now we are where we are today, and it's obsolete. It's like that American um, movies no longer, we have TV shows, but it's not like it was in the 80s and 90s. Like, it just fell off, literally. And then now with Essence and all that other stuff that's owned by different people now, it's just not the same. So when I tell you that this era is something so new, it's not necessarily negative. It's just trying to find my way in a society that has just changed so drastic. Sometimes it feels like you on your own. Like, these politicians and people have an agenda, and it don't seem to include you. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't really mean much, but it's definitely clear that you have to be of sound mind, body and soul, honey, all of it. You got to be able to handle your own and do your own and speak for yourself. And it's not like go to, back in the day, if you had an issue and you thought maybe it was racism, or you thought maybe because she didn't give you that salad when you went to the food bank, that you could go over to our community center and tell them, Miss such and such, I went over to such and such, and they didn't give me no salad. And then she wanted to give me some cheese, and I would be constipated. You could go there, and sister, someone like, what? Girl, you know you gotta eat your salads and your veggies. How come they didn't give you a salad? It's just a salad. Why would they not give you the salad? And then you would have this long discussion with her, and she would tell you this recipe and how she cook and how she do. And then after all y'all talk, she would talk to those people over at that other place that didn't give you your salad. And the next thing, you would have a big old bag of salad and stuff. Come pick it up. And the community would work together like that. So even if they were trying to be mean or vicious, somebody would speak up and say, don't do that. Don't do that. This girl needs this salad. She needs to eat healthy. She don't need to be eating no chips or whatever, because her feet swell, her ankles swell, and she has a health condition. She's had cancer. They tell all your business. They tell all your business, to not only to the people at the church, but the people at the community county, and the Hispanics, and everybody all the way to Cuba and around the world. Everybody know about you and your health condition and what you're trying to do and why you need to eat healthy and eat your salads and your veggies. So I'm used to that type of stuff. So it don't bother me when people gossip or talk. What bothers me is when they make up stuff and they lie and they're not trying to be helpful, but they're trying to be vicious. That kind of bothered me at first, but now I've even gotten used to that just from being on social media, and you just learn that it is that, well, I would say on YouTube and stuff, that you learn that that's a lot of times what people do to get attention. So you can get people to click on your videos and things like that. So I learned that through YouTube now, that a lot of it is just attention getting. Like, people do stuff to get attention, clickbait as they call it, and things like that. But then um, when I first started with my nonprofits and I look at the numbers, I'm not even close to the type of numbers that I was getting when I first started out. And I wasn't even talking then. I just put some pictures up and people were coming through. So when the pictures changed to darker skinned black people, then the numbers started dwindling. But it was still the same nonprofit. So I didn't really think anything of it, because I wasn't selling anything and I wasn't really trying to market anything. I was just on social media trying to see, what is this monster about? What is social media? What is it? And people were making money and people were doing different things, and that's all that this has been for me, is just learning and trying to understand what's out there now. Like, what are people doing? And I enjoy, like I said, videos. I enjoy making what little silly stuff that I make, and I enjoy it. And I like communicating with people and sharing my little 2 cents or thoughts or agenda in life. I really do enjoy it. And I trust that I am connecting with other people like to do the same. But I'm not really much with arguing or trying to dismiss or be the race thing. So I think that plays into why I don't necessarily fit in with what the agenda is today, because everything is so race related. I just didn't grow up like that, and I can't really talk like that because I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what to tell you, because I didn't grow up like that. We didn't talk shit like that about people, and nobody was running around talking about black and white, and unless you went to jail or something. And that's like LA now. They have a map to show you, and I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know that it was so, the corruption, I didn't know it was that bad. Like I said, I'm to myself. I keep to myself. I don't get in people's business. And when someone seems like they're trying to harass me, usually somebody kind of say a little bit something, and then they don't do it anymore, or they're afraid I'm about to run them over. So one of the two, somehow in there, they realize that I'm just as crazy too, and that they're not trying to have an experience with me, because I'm not hunting them down. I'm not trying to poke holes in they stuff. I'm not trying to F with them. So I think once they realize that, but they be so mad about something that they have no control over, but they will hurt you. So you got to be alert. They will try to run you over and hope that nobody sees them doing the dirty deed. But you always know there's eyes. Everybody's always watching. There's always someone. And so that type of stuff, I trust definitely in the higher power to get them. Get them. Get them, get them, get them. And I never had anything against necessarily the police other than the abuse. So I've always wanted the police to make enough money where they're not coming to steal my Aunt Sarah's cameras and the stuff that she had in the house. We had that experience, and I had to call, and they had to bring the camera back. But then when he brought the camera, it was crazy. And then we ended up giving him one, and then we just under the fact that if he had just asked, she would have gave him one anyway. They were like that. They were those kind of people. But to experience a lot of the stuff, and then now looking back, then I saw that okay, they do stuff like that. But back then I didn't really think of it because it just, I don't know, it wasn't like it was for somebody in the hood. So you know how you start to downplay your own experience when you hear somebody that has something so much worse? And that's what I've learned lately not to do. My story is my story, and my sovereignty and my peace and my space and everything that I worked hard for is just as important for someone who chose to do what they did with their life. So everybody's fighting for resources. Everybody's pulling for resources. Everybody feels they have a right to the same resources. And at this point in time, closed mouths, as they say, won't get fed. People who are not trying to pull back, they will take everything. They will take what you paid for. They will take everything that you bought. They don't give a rat's butt that you don't have a wheelchair, that you can't walk, that you can't care for yourself. As long as they got their money, however that they got it, whether they had integrity or not, they don't care. So you have to be able to speak up and fight for your stuff. You got to be able to do it. And that's why I was fighting for my health, because I had to be my own advocate. And it was hard trying to be my own advocate, not having a wheelchair. And I'm sitting, the wheelchair was the Jeep. And they're like, that's such a small Jeep. It ended up being in my favor to be a small Jeep like that. So, but that's how I got fat, because I couldn't walk and I was eating and I had a health condition and I didn't have good care. And then they gave me the bad medicine. I complained about it, and then they gave me bad medicine again. And then they tried to give me some blood clot stuff. And I'm like, I don't normally have that problem. So it was a lot. And then the lady tried to inject me with something. She wouldn't tell me what it was. And it was crazy. And I said, I got to get out the South. I don't understand this. I didn't grow up in the South. I don't know the South. I like visiting. They had some land out there that some Indians had owned. They call them Indians, but native, you know what I'm saying. And I said I would take it because I wanted to start healing centers. I wanted to have healing centers. And one of the spots was in Virginia, and then there was a place in North Carolina where some land could be purchased and so forth. Anyway, my thought pattern at that time, traveling down there, is that I wanted to start the healing centers. And I wanted them to be all over the world where you could go there. I don't care, give a rat's butt what color you were, but that you could get healed. Because a lot of it was the food, a lot of it was the stress, a lot of it is just hearing that negativity every freaking day has an impact on your health. It is not healthy to have someone every time you're doing something saying the N-word or trying to hurt you or take you off this land. That is not normal, it's not healthy, and it causes unnecessary stress. So I always felt, after I knew all that was going on, that there should be some kind of protection. You know, you should be able to have the same human rights as some of the other people that they were giving those rights to, that you should be able to have them too. I never thought that that wasn't understood. And if they act like they didn't understand it, that they were playing dumb. So after looking back at all the 55 years and whatever, the only thing that tangible that I can tell you about is gratitude, and how I'm grateful for the family and friends and my experiences. I'm grateful for all that. And then now, moving forward, I want to have even better experiences and have my own stuff. There's nothing wrong with sharing with the family and growing up like that. However, I would like to establish some of my business ideas and also make enough revenue to get some things done and travel again. It's different when you travel with the universities. There's a total different respect when you travel with the university. So, a lot of the experiences that people have had, I don't know anything about that either. So, I don't talk about it because a lot of these universities, they roll out the red carpet for their students and they make sure whatever happens that you as a student come back to that campus regardless, that they're not going to just let you be missing in action. We had a guy that went with us to Paris and he missed his flight. He didn't want to come back, and they were really worried at first. And then he had to sign some papers. He had to do some stuff to release the university. They were mad about it, but he was grown and he made that choice. Um, so they started saying they wanted to be more selective of who they chose, who goes, and so on and so on. And then the professor was like, blah, blah, blah. So they changed that and they ended up just being normal again. You know how sometimes people freak out when something changes so drastic like that. So, anyway, the study abroads, we met a lot of great people, especially with the School of Design, and the respect is totally different. Like the color did not matter, and I know that's hard to say and tell somebody that, especially when universities still have race issues on a lot of these campuses. But when we studied abroad as a team and as a group, um, the respect was there. When it came to scholars, the respect is there, whether it was from the colleagues, from the university, or what have you. It's a different world when you're in that arena, especially even with insurance companies and everything. When they pay you um, for getting injured, depending on the job and what kind of employment you had, all of that is a factor. And unfortunately, society still operates that way when it comes to, well, at least it used to, when it came to being employed and working and so forth. California's always been a little bit different, and they wanted to act like everybody is human and they should be treated regardless of their, what do they call that back then? They pedigree, regardless of their pedigree, that they should still have access and rights to luxury and the finer things in life. So when they would adopt kids and stuff, one thing they would do is give them a really good education. Everybody knew if you were lucky enough to be adopted for somebody out of California, that was something not only the state, but the people that adopted you or took care of you, they all agreed on that. So you could get a really good education um, if you were adopted in California versus somewhere like Arizona or New Mexico or whatever. So California at one time was really cool. It just was a really neat spot, especially for kids, because kids could eat free. Kids could do a lot of stuff for free back in the day. And people, as a collective, as a community, operated that way. It's not the same anymore. So I don't know what the future's going to bring. It I think I was shocked when I saw the image of the Superman and then they had the title underneath it stating that he was going to be a part of, I guess it would be a removal act too. How would you name that? How would you put that? Remember I told you guys that California at one time had an Indian removal act and so forth of certain lands and spaces and places and what have you, and then the feds didn't honor certain groups of people. So I guess that would be very similar
to this, but I was shocked because they had him in his Superman outfit, and that he was going to be a part of that. So I was just like, I can't believe it. I was shocked. Um, and that's what I mean by a lot of stuff, guys. I just really don't. I don't have a clue. Back in the day, I would have never imagined somebody being that bold. And I'm just shocked. I'm really, really shocked. But I'm shocked about a lot of stuff now. And so that's why I just don't talk that much on my channel about it, because I really don't know what to say about it. I just, the only thing I can say as a caretaker is that a lot of these good people who've worked hard their entire life have been priced out, and it's not fair. And then you hear about these billions of dollars that could have helped these people, whether they build affordable complex or something, or have another elderly retirement type space for people who are on SSDI and that can still possibly work, but they are limited on their work hours and the amount of money that they can bring in. So they're going to need housing, but they can still be part of the workforce. To me, I think they are gems. I think a lot of these elderly people who were attorneys, nurses, um, legal counsel, know a lot about a lot of stuff. I think they are undervalued. And I think they could still be a good part of the workforce because they are the people that show up every day. They are the people that you don't have to um, over monitor them, over manage them. They're very self-sufficient and able to care and take care of themselves and the business and get the job done probably better than the person who owns the business. So I don't know what the future is going to hold. The only thing, as I said before, guys, is that I focus on my health and wellness, and I want to share that with you, how you too can improve your health, get the steps in, and not use the pain meds. And if you do have to use them, how to get off of them and not abuse them. And that takes you making that decision and wanting to not abuse the medication and not keep refilling that medication um, when it's not necessarily needed. Now, I know when it came to some of the insurance and payments and stuff, that they took a look at all that, and a lot of people was just filling it for the sake of meeting the guidelines so they didn't disrupt their benefits. So I understand all that, but I also know from experience not to um, mess up your body like that with that stuff. And your kidneys and flushing out, all of that stuff played a detrimental role in my health when it came to my pancreas, because they couldn't quite see all of the pancreas. They can only see a certain portion of the pancreas in the x-rays, and it was terrible. And I had that huge bag of different medications for every element that bothered me. And then I had the cancer, and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, it just took its toll. And then hearing about, well, they think it could have been from this and that, and then not getting compensation really hurt, because you have to be able to take care of yourself. It's not like you don't need the money. So I was really puzzled at the outcome for me, just because I didn't anticipate not having my wheelchair. I didn't anticipate not having a house that was not able and adjusted for my handicap. I didn't expect to have that experience. And when I didn't get the house, after staying with that St. Peter Paul program they had, I was kind of like, I need to get back in shape. I need to run a marathon. I need to do more so I can get healthy. And sometimes I just overdid it and I needed to just rest. But I was so trying to get back into the game, get back into working, because I took the medical leave from the bank. And then I had that experience with that lady who was another black woman. And by law, I could work being disabled, but she didn't want to do that. So when people come in and they're immigrants and stuff, even though they may have been here for a while, as as a society, we have a way that we do things, and we have the laws that allow you, being disabled, to be able to work and still take care of yourself. But a lot of people from the other countries, when you're disabled, they don't respect that. They don't have those type of laws and understanding in their society. So people, you know, people take advantage of, just like they do of the handicapped parking spaces and stuff. And it's just difficult to really get things done without an advocate, without that type of community that would speak up and stand up for you. So I didn't expect all that. And I didn't really have vices. So I was trying to figure out, how can I get what I need? And there wasn't a lot out there being disabled. But there was a whole lot for those who had addictions. There was a whole lot of money and resources for those that were on the street. There was billions of dollars poured into a group of people that chose, I guess. They say they didn't choose it. So I don't know how to describe that. I just know that there weren't enough resources in the area for those with disabilities and learning and handicap and all that kind of stuff. There just wasn't a lot. There wasn't enough. And you didn't want to blame one group over another, but I just felt like the resources weren't handled properly. I just felt like things could have been handled better. And I still think that way, especially those that have mental health issues. When they started closing a lot of those facilities, it got really bad at one point because they were abusing the people and they were trying to find employees. And it's kind of like now how they just hire certain people just to have somebody doing the job, but they're not necessarily the best at it. And it was just like now, like you're on your own. It's just difficult, really, really difficult. So having the experience, I learned a lot. I met a lot of different people, and I don't recommend any of it. And I don't even like the part where to tell you have family members help you and rely on them. I don't like that part either, because I've never liked being a burden to someone. I don't like that feeling. And I like the independence and being able to care for myself. So financially, I try to do calculated risk. I try to keep up with my spirituality and keep up with paying my minimum payments every month on stuff, just to live my life and socially enjoy things that matter to me. French fries may not matter to everybody else, but I love French fries. Some people say, well, maybe French fries is your go-to food, like your food that makes you comfortable, food that comforts you, like ice cream. That could possibly be. But it's part of something that I enjoy, and I find things that I enjoy now. and I try to push myself to do more. I want to run another marathon. I would like to teach others how to complete a marathon because I've done it before. Once you complete one, you feel like you can do almost anything. Once you complete a marathon, it's like nothing else. There's a couple of things in life that you do that really changes who you are, and that was one of them. So I will put a video together if someone's interested in learning how to run a marathon. We can practice and plan to compete somewhere. I would love to go back to Hawaii and run a marathon there. We did it for the American Heart Association. I thought that was a good reason to do it. And then I thought about doing the rock and roll. In Arizona they have one. Well, they used to. I shouldn't speak on it because I don't know if they still have that around. But they used to have the rock and roll marathon, and they had the music playing as you're doing the run. Thought that was really cool. You guys know I love all the different agendas of music. So I would like to do that, even with the osteo issue. Any rheumatoid issue, I'm sure I could numb the pain on that, but the osteo issue might be a challenge. However, I still want to do it. I have my list of stuff, and health issues is not going to be part of what limits me. I like that I was able to do the sand thing. I'm really thinking about doing that more often. So I got to budget this gas. Budget my gas money a little bit better. Paying off the cards because I gotta get the transmission done, and I can't depend on a firm and some of these other type of payment stuff because they give it to you and then they take it away, and they're not reliable. And I've always paid them. And when they had the issue downtown, I told them I couldn't get downtown to get the stuff I needed to get and do what I needed to do. And they really don't care. They're always looking for opportunity to not be helpful. So the customer service, the outsourcing and the poor customer service really has an impact when you're working with these companies. It's not the same, but I think we all know that a lot has changed. And so you're not blaming them. You just do what you got to do anyway and still continue to make your payments because you can always rebuild your credit. Goes up and down, and there's different things that you can do to improve it. But for me, money always is a huge factor because I still like just paying stuff off. I love paying stuff off. I don't like debt. So I'm going to always be the one that's paying. I'm going to pay my stuff off. Excuse me. And I'm not sure if I'm going to really buy any major equipment doing these videos, but I do want to improve on the computer and get more gigabytes to be able to make, the type of videos that I enjoy. I like that PBS style of videos. That has always been my thing. So I'm not sure if anyone would ever hire me to do it for them, but I am available. But the equipment, I used to always use the university or the school's equipment when I would work for them with the audio visual stuff. However, I could figure it out if someone wanted me to make tags or some tags are like so lame now. People aren't really doing that. But whatever it is, I don't mind collaborating. Whatever it is, if someone wanted to chat about something. But I try to be as honest with you about stuff that a lot of stuff I just honestly do not know. I don't know a lot about a lot. I can only tell you about being in the workforce, working with different type of people. I enjoyed myself. We would go to Disneyland. We would go to different um, events together with my coworkers. So some people don't really care to have those type of relationships with their coworkers. Um, and then me being independent and doing my own thing, um, I'm not sure how that would value for someone. I mean, everybody knows how to do a resume now. Everybody understands with you being on social media how it impacts you trying to get a job. I would assume that everybody knows a lot of this by now. Like, so many people have talked about it that I'm not sure I can add any value to any of those type of things. And telling you a different thing about a set of black people, I'm not sure that people even have value in that anymore, because people now just feel like, we all need to unite, period. Um, if you watch a lot of these videos, I have like lists that I put together that says America, and it has different things. And I put those videos in there because sometimes I want to do commentary on stuff and tell you what I think is going to happen here in America, along with a vision that I may get or a dream that I may have about something. It doesn't mean for everybody, and that's why I always tell you guys, if you have resources, if you have family, your outcome is going to be different. And that's why my outcome was different, even though I had the mother that I had, because I had a lot of family. And at that time, I had so many people that I could go to their house and not worry. But when the pandemic hit, I was so afraid of exposing them to that disease that I stayed away. I didn't want to be the one that caused Aunt such and such or Uncle so and so to die. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be the one that was the reason that somebody wasn't on the earth anymore. I thought it was scary. I thought it was a very unpredictable time when that all that first started. And then they wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't even give me the test. But then they wanted me to get a shot. And then they wanted me to take these blood things. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Have they lost their freaking mind? Who in the hell in their right mind is going to go to a hospital, take all these tests, and then you not give me the information, and then you not tell me if I have the disease that around the world everybody's talking about? I thought they were crazy. And then he wanted to tell me about his wife being a judge. Like, is that supposed to scare me? What are we doing? I thought that this is the craziest time ever in America. And then people were fighting and arguing and didn't want people wearing masks. I'm like, who are these people? How are you going to tell somebody not to wear a mask? I just didn't understand what society had became. And I still don't. I still don't think that we have recovered from that experience. I think that people really had it. I think that really changed people, and they haven't really officially dealt with it. But I think it was that way before all that happened. I don't think it was just the pandemic. I think that there were level of things that had happened before that pandemic happened, and that just only kind of made it worse. But then there was no aid. There was no therapy. Like, it should have been group therapy all over the world after that pandemic, but everybody felt they were all right. And then they opened the borders like that, and all these men came in on a plane and boat, raft, bus, everything, and it was just terrible. I was like, how in the world did this happen? Who would do that in their right mind? And then you had, before they let them in, the defunding of the very people that could have possibly protected us. I didn't understand it, and I still don't understand the thoughts behind that type of thinking. I don't understand how people would think that that is okay to do. I don't understand how they rationalize doing that to us. So I don't have a lot of faith in our leaders. And then now you hear that no, we're just picking up people who are criminals. But then our leaders are saying no, we don't want them doing that. And then when you need help, there's no one there, and the resources are gone, and you need to move because you can't afford it. But the immigrant has a lot of money, and they can afford it, and we're giving the resources to them. I'm not mad at the immigrant. I don't understand the society that has chosen to just be dismissive of those that have invested in generations, and you just dispose of them so easily. I don't understand a society like that. I don't understand a society that doesn't see value in the upper age people that could be employed. You're saying you want them to work, but who's going to hire them? You already know that the discrimination exists. I don't understand how that's supposed to work out. So I just keep focusing on my health, but there's more that I would love to do. I just don't see the niche. I don't see myself being able to do it. And I keep trying to focus and meditate and see it and pray on it and ask on it and do what I need to do on it, whether it's Lord, God, entities, energies, all the be, the sun, the moon, everything that loves me unconditionally. I'm calling all out to that, to make that path, to make that way, and to be cared for as a human being with my basic needs being met. My basic needs being met without having to tell you that when I went to this hospital that used to, not hospital, but this medical facility that used to be on Venice Beach, for them to tell me that they only do immigrants now, that they don't take everybody. And one time they were taking everybody, and then they solely just started taking only immigrants. So I was like, how did they do that? And then especially in the areas, certain areas that had a high population of the homeless, they were telling them that they only do immigrants now, that they were not taking the average Jane or Joe off the street that needed medical care. And they took the money and the resources, the building that you used to know and go to, and now they only solely helped a particular group of people. I wasn't used to that. Um, and this is here in California. So I wasn't expecting all of that on top of not having the wheelchair, not having the house that wasn't set for a elderly disabled person. I wasn't expecting to not have that resource. So I still am not sure how to navigate through all of this. I just keep my goals, like I said, and trying to walk and not use a wheelchair as much. But one factor that is my reality when we talk about this Saturn and Neptune is that I'm getting up there in age, and I don't have any control over how gravity is taking a toll on my body, and how age will define a lot of my reality. So Neptune gives me the hope of, you can do this. You can make it to the beach. You can do this little ritual. You can receive all the happiness and wealth, peace, and prosperity that your heart desires, and fulfill each and every one. And with the universe's help, you'll have that and more. You'll have an abundance of the best things in life. You'll have the wealth, the happiness, the peace, and the luxury, and live your merry life the way that you like. Eat your french fries and still exercise and do what you need to do for yourself, and meet good people in the world that exist back when and even now. They are still here on this earth. It's not just you. And you don't have to fear all those men that came over on the planes, and fear these people that you hear on the news. You don't have to fear all that. That you're highly guided and protected. So you come out You get your steps in and you have faith in something that quite often you don't understand. And so I talk about it and I share with you my goals and what it is that I'm trying to achieve for myself, and trust that it can be of service to someone else other than myself. But I am the lab rat, I guess, doing it on me first in my health and wellness, and sharing with you what helped me despite all of these elements that could have broken me. And the peace is the main part that a lot of people struggle with. I think the peace is something that, regardless of the outcome, I'll still have that. Regardless if I'm here or not tomorrow, I will always have that peace, and I will always be in gratitude for everything. I am so grateful. I'm grateful to have those good experience. I am saddened by current conditions, but I am grateful to be able to still take care of myself, wipe my own ass, brush my own teeth, and this crazy hair of mine after going through chemo. I'm grateful to have a lot of it on my head and it still grows. I'm grateful to still be able to grow my nails even though they break every time I start digging around for stuff. I'm grateful to have my finances in order well enough that I can take out a bad loan with some of these companies. I'm grateful to have that option. I'm grateful to be able to pay them. I'm grateful that they still loan me money even if I am late on a week or two on the date that it should have been on, but I paid it on a different date. But it didn't go hurt me or go past the 30 days. I'm grateful for credit, period, because it helps me to have experiences. Because in these times, I may not, I mean, tomorrow's not guaranteed for nobody. And so I spend my money accordingly, and I'm very happy with how I'm spending it. And I'm trusting that that big, large amount gives me more structure and opportunities that I would not have had if it were not for large amounts coming to me easily and peacefully. I am so happy to have these experiences and to budget and manage enough to um, do calculated risk. So those calculated risk have enabled me to enjoy life at a whole nother level. And even though it's not where I want to be, I'm doing what I want to do. And that freedom to me is priceless, along with peace. So I appreciate all of you who come through, listen to my videos, and say hello. That is always awesome. I am trying to improve on giving you longer videos. But as I said, a lot of times I just don't see myself talking about a lot of stuff just because it's just not me. I don't I like to laugh, I like to be silly, and I like to get stuff done. And I don't like to keep talking about that same problem that I feel should have been resolved years ago, and I don't feel like people are really trying hard enough to do the right thing. I like this plane carrying this sign. I think that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. So, being at the beach, doing my little ritual was pretty cool. Since I've been burning candles all month and stuff, I was going to get another, and I said, I feel like I'm overdoing it. It felt like that. It just felt like, okay, you've done quite a bit. And the main thing that we're trying to do right now is to focus and picture certain things in the mind and picture myself doing certain things. So I felt that's a good opportunity to do such and not necessarily keep doing more ritual stuff. But the beach thing had been on my list, and that's why I went ahead and did the beach thing, because I kept visualizing that and not physically doing it, and burning a whole lot of incense candles and stuff. So this time around, I visualized the candles and all that stuff, burnt the incense, and we did our sandalwood. I love sandalwood, along with cinnamon and everything else. Even though it's not the first of the month, you can burn it at any time. And I was able to touch the beach water and to walk on the beach in my best shoes. And now I need to plan another set of shoes. I will wash these and give it a try and let you guys know how they turned out. I am still in shock that I was able to walk on the beach with a walking cane and uh, achieve my goal. Amazing, 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 amazing. With a walking cane, I never thought I would be on the beach with a walking cane. I would have never dreamed or imagined myself. Like when I picture myself, I did picture myself one time in those wheelchairs that allow you to be on the beach. In the wheelchair, I did picture that, but I gradually got out of that, and I always saw myself running on the beach, getting a workout. And I never saw it with a cane. I just knew that I would have a little pain, and even that, I struggled with not having that pain, even in my visual idealism thought of, of exercising on the beach. So, exercising on the beach is still priority because it really is a workout. My ankles, I don't know what shoes. I'm really seriously thinking about what type of shoe I will buy next time around. I mean, this tennis shoe worked for me, but it messed up my shoes. So it would be this would be my beach shoe now. I'm going to wash these and use these as my workout shoes and get another pair to wear regular every day, my everyday shoe. So hopefully, as I'm paying off my creditors and stuff, that I'm able to budget for these shoes. Were not on the low end, they were on the higher end. So I would have to uh, budget for another pair of tennis shoes. So with all the gratitude and the love and appreciation for the parking space and trying to accomplish this goal, and just my oath to God of it all, because I know nothing. I really don't know um, to really talk to you guys about at this point, because you all seem to know more than I do. I can just talk about my experiences and my goals, and if I'm achieving them, how I'm achieving them. And with the Lion's Gate and all of that, I'm incorporating everything. I feel that as you all believe in a God and the energy and entities and all that, it is of one, and they all work together. And I call on them on my behalf to work together for me, to assist me in achieving not only these goals, but to continue to be able to care and take care of myself and get the strength and the health to the best of available to me, and that what they will to heal and give to me. Um, everyone is always saying everything happens for a reason and so forth. And then the message I get when you're helping someone else, they don't extend that same compassion. So it's been a learning, but like I said, it always goes back to me of staying in that oath of God and trusting in this greater power to care for me unconditionally and to provide, and to connect me with the right people to get the job done. I mean, this has been years now, and it it was like telling me, don't do the scrap, don't do the scraping. Even when I was making my avocado stuff, it was like, don't scratch that out of there. Don't go for scraps. Like, you deserve better. You deserve more. And I am like, oh my God, I can't even do an avocado without having this spiritual experience and wanting to do the right thing. Like I felt like, okay, am I overdoing this? Am I over focused? Should I be relaxing a little bit better, resting? But I'm not one to sleep. So even in the late hours, I'm looking at content, wondering, okay, is this something similar? Is this something along the lines that I may want to talk about? Because people want to hear you talk, people want to see what you're doing. And how can I make this more interesting? How can this be um, useful for somebody more than myself? So I share with you the meal prep. I share with you the diet. Um, I share with you what has worked for me. And everything hasn't worked. Like I told you, when I went to these resources, I wasn't finding what I assumed would be there, especially when it came to the wheelchair thing. I just knew for sure that I would have the wheelchair and that I would be able to temporarily find a wheelchair accessible housing. I did not um, expect to not have that because, like I told you, there's so many programs out there. I knew that they had something set aside for those who are in a wheelchair and disabled and needed um, assistance, but that wasn't the case. So I was really surprised, but I'm grateful to get things done. Cleaning out the storage, taking my time to do so is amazing, and processing everything that has happened, even the loss of my mother, made me focus on myself. So I'm so happy to be able to complete my goals, to be able to go on the beach and walk and come and so so I'm happy.
Yeah, don't back up. You got like an inch.
So it's getting crowded, but I think I'm still gonna let the car continue to cool. All I see is somebody else that has a little pink thing on their license plate. I know somebody that has one on there, so I'm seeing them now everywhere. You know how you notice one, and then you see
Oh my God, I just see Buddy Boy's twin.
everybody has them, not just one person. So
Track him down. When you gonna realize and recognize him?
but it feels good being next to the beach and that cool air coming off. Um, Probably the last place I needed to be after the earthquake we heard about, but I had to get this done because it was on my list of things to do. And I made it. I just can't believe I made it there. And I started walking back fast because I did not want to have my leg give out on me. I didn't want my leg to give out on me, and I didn't want to not complete the goal. So I got I got the water, even got a little sand. I didn't know I had the sand in there, but when that water came up, it brought the sand with it. I can't believe how clear the water actually is. Look at that. And then the sand. I know it's not drinkable because they're telling people to boil their water and stuff. I know it's not. However, I can't believe that it's that clear. And I got to make sure that I picked the right one because they both got the same cup, but this one got ice in it. And that ice really tastes good. So cheap day at the beach. Back in the day, you would have heard people playing their music. That's one thing I don't hear as much anymore. I guess you guys would just sit with me on the beach. Oh, cute. It's too cute. I don't understand this California's new daylighting law. What does that mean?
Hi, I'm Sergeant Garza with the Placentia Police Department. I'm here to talk about California's new daylighting law, AB 413, which went into effect on January 1st, 2025. Daylighting is a safety measure that aims to improve visibility at crosswalks by preventing vehicles from parking too close to intersections.
Oh, okay.
Under this new law, parking is prohibited within 20 feet of a crosswalk on the approach side, whether marked or unmarked. The approach side is the space before the crosswalk as you drive towards an intersection. If you're driving down a two-way street, you cannot park in the space immediately before the crosswalk, but you can park in the space right after it because it doesn't block visibility or pedestrians crossing. This extra space increases visibility, making it easier for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians to see each other more clearly, which will hopefully reduce the risk of collisions. Just a reminder, if there's a red curb or a sign with a different distance, be sure to follow that instead. We understand this might feel like an inconvenience, especially in our areas with limited parking, but this law is about safety. It's about making sure drivers and pedestrians can see each other clearly because that can prevent crashes and save lives. We will begin enforcing this law on April 1st, so be mindful of where you park to avoid a ticket and help keep our streets safe. Thank you very
June,
much.
July, what we in August now? Oh goodness. Hmm. I did not know. So I'm gonna finish sorting through my papers, and I really appreciate all of you, and I definitely hope that I did not tick off anybody stating you guys wanted me to talk more, so I thought I would share that tidbit with you guys. And like I said, I am in shock about all of it. I just really, it's hard to really believe much of anything anymore. Like I said, I just heard that they were picking on people who had did crimes. So I guess that's how people look at, well, most people say they don't care about anybody nowadays. So I don't know. I think that could just be a social media thing. I don't necessarily believe everybody's acting that way. Um, I think a lot of us do care. We just don't want to get involved in some craziness. Like we just really trying to get done what we need to get done. And I trust that the efforts will pay off and that we all will align with the right people and be able to get some stuff done. I just honestly feel like sometimes we're making things so much worse than what it needs to be. I just don't think it needs to be that difficult. And I really do honestly hope that someone is able to get a deal out of those small tiny homes that article was talking about, and that someone has some land somewhere for at least 3 to 5 years or longer and want to make use of it with those tiny homes. And I'm hoping that they're picking people that are elderly and disabled and not just homeless type thing, because the new wave of people are those on SSDI and so forth. And I just don't think it's fair. I think that billions should be pushed over to that area of of need in our community. With my health condition and so forth, of course, I would want some type of facility that could accommodate the wheelchair and my inability to do stairs. That's my next goal, is to walk up and down some stairs a couple of times. I didn't think I could do the beach sand. I honestly didn't. So I didn't like the way I was talking to myself, because once I stepped out of the vehicle and I walked over there, I kept saying, I can't go that far. I don't think I can do this. But I'm here. I want you to know that I've made the effort. And I kept stepping. I kept walking. I kept walking. And then when I realized I could actually do this and I was about to touch that water, I couldn't believe it. So I am not mad about my shoes. Although I could have, I don't know, because my ankles, these shoes supported my arch, my ankle, and my ability to walk in the sand. And if I had wore those sandals, I don't think I would have had the support I needed to be able to walk there and back. Because it was throbbing, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been if I didn't have the supportive shoes on. And they do support my ankle and my arch. That was why I bought them. But now that they have the beach water and the sand in them, I will need to rinse them and wash them. And I got plenty of laundry to do. I had believed that I would have by now manifested my perfect home for myself. I did not want to be a problem in somebody else's home and trying to get them adjust their home for my needs. I honestly believed that I was going to be able to manifest the home I needed for me and my desires and needs in this health condition. I really did believe that. So that's why I haven't been talking much about manifesting, because obviously I'm manifesting. Obviously, every day we are. And I don't have an answer for why I don't have that, what I thought I would already have. I won again with a scratch it. I'm grateful and ecstatic that it happened during the Lionsgate portal 88. I am happy to only have 2 more payments left, not only on that Sony camera I bought years back that I've been paying on, but 2 more payments on this phone. So I could possibly get something new, but we're going to try to keep using what I got until I pay off some credit cards, so I can get this vehicle, some more work done on the vehicle. I'm going to obviously keep trying to get the vehicle fixed and keep giving you content of me exercising on the beach. I made it, guys. I can't believe I made it. I really can't believe that I walked to that beach, got my water, beach water, got my shoes, sand, and completed that little ritual part for myself. And them salty tears came out. So, goal accomplished. Goal accomplished. Boy, I talked a lot. That's going on 2:44, almost 3 hours. See what time we're at. It's 2:34. So guess which scratch it I actually won the money on? It was not the crosswords. It was that infamous Spanish scratch a card that I always tell you guys that reminds me of my aunties. I always win something on those. I I don't know what to say other than I'm grateful that I won on that. Um, each amount, regardless if it's a small or huge amount, obviously you were just excited to win any amount, period. So moving forward, I still set aside X amount to be able to play while continuously making sure that I pay all my debt that I owe. Even if I have to pay it on another day than the other day that it's showing that it's due, I still pay it and whatever fees I need to pay. So I'm grateful. And I'm glad to share this with you guys. And I appreciate a lot of you who have signed in to my little hat falling off. I'm not. So I'm happy to get it done. I probably should be leaving. Okay, this one's 100%. I'm trying to charge up my little gadgets before I get on the road in case I need to call AAA. And I got to call them anyway to change my stuff back, even though I'm still doing the repairs, because today I was able to check out some of the repair the guys did. Obviously, he did a good job on that. It was a small repair, but it was good enough to make sure these fluids are doing what they need to do. The transmission is bad, so I can't. You won't see me speeding down the road. And then I saw a camera go off. Now I follow a map, and that map does not tell me if it's a, I don't know what they call those roads, but I'm going to look into and I'm going to try to call them and see what's going on. Nothing came up on my disability gadget thing to tell me I'm on a special road. Nothing like that alert me. The only thing that caught my eye was the flash of the camera, and I wasn't running a light or anything. Like I was with the flow of traffic. So I don't know if I should be trying to find the problem. You know what I mean? Don't try to make something out of nothing, I guess. But I really need to know that road because I follow the map. I'm not following somewhere that I know. So I don't know. It's a nice road, and I'm piecing something together, and I believe that it may be a toll. That's the word I'm looking for, a toll road. And I don't know that it's a toll road. I didn't even know we had toll roads. I thought those were all like San Francisco area and other places. I did not know we had those on my way to here. So I got some work done on the vehicle. That's why I uh, I was just sitting there parked, going through these papers, waiting on the guy, because the other guy didn't show up because it was supposed to be for the transmission. So when that fell through, I got some other work done, Now I have to figure out if I'm going to put this vehicle today in the storage spot or if I'm going to continue to sit on the side of the road and get some more work done. But I won't be able to do a lot. Today was just a blessed, graceful, lucky day. Or was it lucky? If that was a toll road, I don't know. But I had to drive in order to check it out to make sure that the work was done. So I'm really vulnerable when it comes to the repairs because I really honestly don't know if they're really doing the work. And the only way to know is when you actually drive it, if you can feel the difference. And I could, but I smelled rubber burning. I don't know what that rubber burning smell was. I don't know what that was about. So it's barely doing what it needs to do, and it's needing a lot more bigger repairs. That's costing more money. And the plan is to pay down a lot of the loans that I have, but as I'm paying it, a firm's not really giving me that same amount of credit. I mean, they were giving me a lot of credit. Now they're not giving me a lot of credit, and they want me to use some of these other places to buy stuff. And I have my regular routine that I buy stuff from, and now they're not giving me, credit to do that. And cash wise, it works for me better when I use credit and pay a little here, a little there, so I can get other stuff done too with the type of budget that I have. So I'm budgeting in more repairs and keeping in mind that a firm may or may not be an option. And I said before that I have peace with credit. I'm not stressing out over my ability to make sure that I get it paid before a certain date, but I'm paying it. And like I always tell you guys, set it up if you need to on auto pay and everything else. However, if you can't do it, you still need to make arrangements to make sure that you pay it, especially if you want to keep using credit. So that's just the reality with credit. And, we all do what we have to do. So that's what's going on with me. And I am so grateful for the grace. I'm still working with Verizon to get their arrangement made. So we have the non-profit. We have that business that's on hold. The non-profit business is on hold because I'm still working on my health and wellness and completing the goals for myself to not really need a wheelchair as much. But I am fighting against my age, and gravity, and just life in general. This body isn't what it used to be. However, I am working very hard, very diligent on my health and wellness and the needs to get what I need done and share with you those goals. It's pretty neat to go to the beach and not have to pay a fee to enjoy California's beautiful beach. Very grateful for that. Very grateful to enjoy beautiful California. I know we all have that little insight of sometimes these earthquakes, and we never know if it's the big one So I'm grateful when it's not the big one and we have another day to enjoy this beautiful place. California is a beautiful place. And to enjoy it alone is something special. To have that peace and feel that nice cool air come through is amazing. My feet are still throbbing. They're still throbbing. I almost got a hard top, but they didn't make this particular Jeep with the hard top. They were made with soft tops. And I always thought, why don't you buy a hard top in case you need it in the future? Because I always thought I would have the house with the garage and I could sit it on the side. It was big enough to put the hard top on the side there. But they got rid of that house. And I told you guys about the roommate situation. I didn't have the Jeep there. So it's all been very interesting. Being that I don't have a lot of what I need being disabled. So such is life, but I'm happy, I'm grateful, and I did my first workout on today's beach. I can't believe it. I can't believe I was able to walk through that sand. Oh my goodness. So ah. I have been chatting away and I didn't even notice. Hello, hi. I appreciate everyone that comes through. I've been so thinking about my feet and my ankles right now. I am so sorry. I would like to just give my gratitude for being able to walk on this beach and back. I didn't think I can do it. I beat myself up a little bit for telling myself as I'm walking, "Oh, I don't think I can do this. I'm here. I'm fulfilling the ritual for the Lion's Gate." I'm telling myself that, but in addition, I kept saying, "I don't think I can walk with my cane." I didn't think I could do it. I honestly did not think I could do it. And then when I did it, and I start walking up that hill, I just kept a positive mindset, and I just kept believing I can do this. I made it. I had my cup with me to get the water, and it had got a little sand in it, and I messed up my shoes. So I guess I have my beach exercise workout shoes. I do need to get another pair of shoes after that experience, because the water got all inside. I have that one drying up in the window. I probably should put the other one up there too. I didn't think about that. So it can dry, but I will have to put it in the washer somewhere. That I don't think that sand is gonna work. So I got to find probably a public one to get the shoes washed. Because I don't know nobody that's going to be cool with me washing that sand. I'm going to try and get the sand off of there, but there's still going to be some sand, especially inside the shoe. Um, I don't know. And I got to make sure that I don't accidentally drink the beach water. So I'm happy. I feel good, but my feet are still kind of throbbing. My ankle feels a little swollen. I can't necessarily blame it on walking on the beach, but the support of the shoe made a difference. It's actually the sand is actually coming off now a little bit better that the shoe is drying. So this is a good thing. I don't know if we're going to make this a weekly thing, but definitely it's a check mark of accomplished goal. And then as far as the Lion Gates for tomorrow, Sunday, we have the little statement that we're supposed to state, that we're supposed to say, affirmations, action. Now, it says act on opportunities and verify. So the action, verify any offers with a mirror and smoking quartz. And you say, is this true? Reflect light off the mirror. Some of this stuff I've never tried before. And it says use a sun symbol, Leo, besides the mirror to enhance intuition. For the tarot, I don't know if you guys heard that the tarot card can help you tap into a certain thought pattern of that energy. And this says the Knight of Disc, progress, and guards against Seven of Sword, deception. So we always want the protection of deception, from deception. And on Friday, obviously, I had started doing all this, and it just says, it just was talking about the Lion's Gate energy and it peaking at 8:08 p.m. And at that time, I had the little gym and just trying to focus on my next steps and how to move forward with a lot of my limited ability, but still having the ability to accomplish my goals. And ultimately, that is the goal, is to complete the goals. So, uh, paying off the credit card, paying off the two last payments for the camera, and two last payments on some other things is amazing, awesome, perfect, and it's in line with my alignment and my goals that I've set for myself. So when I did the tarot reading with the Celtic cross spread, I did get the heart of the matter was the Wheel of Fortune. And that meaning reinforces the turning point with a choice of the lovers peaking tonight, whatever that meant. To me, the lovers is more about my goals. In the context, a cosmic nudge toward wealth home alignment with Leo's leadership. The crossing influence was the Five of Wands, meaning conflict persists possibly around 3 or 5, resolvable with harmony. And a lot of times that's just letting go of thoughts that is no longer serving me, thinking about things that just have no use whatsoever, like it's that thought is not helping in any shape or form. The Scorpio intensity may amplify with the Taurus calm. That's just me, my persona, who I am. That Taurus calm is just me. Um, and then the root cause that I have, the Eight of Cups, meaning stagnation or the reluctant to let it go, to just move on, and tied to avoiding a decision of letting a lot of that stuff go, just like the stuff that I have in the storage. A lot of it I do want to wash and keep, but I notice keeping stuff in storage that it loses its luster, and then you get the like mothball type situation going on. I put the mothballs in there to get rid of the moths and stuff, but the storage is the storage, and if you don't rotate that stuff out, a lot of it can get damaged. And then the Knight of Disc is steady progress and building a foundation since early August. The Taurus and Saturn reflects my wealth efforts. So I'm in alignment, and the cards picked up on what I was doing, why I was doing it, and to get that theme of the Wheel of Fortune of luck and enhanced by the Lion's Gate, um, to win the scratch it, and to be able to walk on the sand, get the water, rinse my hands in that uh, on the beach, and in alignment with the ritual for the Lion's Gate, felt good. So even though I've been doing this and I'm in the process, I'm still going to put this information on my YouTube page and possibly some of it on my blogging page. And I did the ringing of the bell. Let me do that while I'm here. And I did that 6 times. So we did that. Did it again just because we can. And we'll go with, on this one, I lead my path with love. And there's some more here, but definitely I lead my path with love. It just says the heart of the matter, a turning point, luck and destiny, amplified by the Lion's Gate, a pivotal moment for wealth or spiritual growth. And I've had a lot of spiritual growth. I can definitely adhere to that acknowledgement and tell you that it is true. I have been doing the work. That is the whole honest truth, nothing but. So I plant seeds of wealth and love for my sanctuary, and I visualize myself in my ideal home that accommodates me and my disability needs too, and being able to cook the type of meals that I need and make the type of food that I need for my best ability. Now, I do think a lot. Sometimes I worry too much about stuff, and California has a lot of their food and fruits here, but then they ship it out for packaging, and I think that's how some of it gets contaminated, and it's not as fresh as it could be if, say, it was coming from Mexico and packaged in Mexico instead of being shipped out, shipped back in, touched again, and all these hands and everything, and sprays and stuff to keep it fresh because of the shipping and everything else that's going on. So I appreciate Mexico, even though we got the drama that's going on. I appreciate their avocados and the fresh fruits and veggies that we see a lot of times in our stores to purchase. I appreciate it just being right across the street like that. Um, and I hope that America is able to work things out with our neighbors and have a better relationship moving forward, because it makes a difference. So I visualize what I want my home to look like. I visualize my second vehicle. With my second vehicle, I did not visualize a wheelchair second vehicle. Doesn't mean that I will or won't. I just did not visualize it like that. So that's why I say I don't know if I'm the best person to talk to you guys about manifesting, but that's just how I looked at it. So I have transformed with this Leo's power, and I lead my wealth in a positive way and trusting in my ability to continue to get things done. I'm so grateful for that, and I keep saying it, and I'll continue to say it. So I've planted seeds of wealth and love for my sanctuary. I've given my gratitude not only for the past, but the current ability to achieve my goals and the stability that I seek. I trust that I shall have that financial stability to heal my financial situation. I trust and believe all this. I don't think this is a far-fetched goal. I'm not sure how Saturn will be with me. I trust in that grace that Saturn has given me, and that the two to work together, because that's what I asked the two to do, is to work together on my behalf so that I may achieve these goals and accomplish my ability to have financial freedom. Because I am building a stable, loving home free of illusion. And that it is a true reality. And that it's mine. It's not my aunt's. It's not my mother's. It's not dealing with my brother. It's my stuff. It's not family, cousins, half sister. It's none of that. It's mine stuff. And that I'm able to get what I need and afford my lifestyle. And have that ability to accomplish a lot of the goals that I've set for myself. So I'm trusting all of this as I still navigate through a lot of the changes that are happening with a lot of the services that I use. Being disabled, it's almost mandatory that I have some type of phone access. And that means nowadays that you have to have internet service. So I trust that the universe is working on my behalf behind the scenes, so I'm not having difficulties making these payment arrangements and doing what I need to do to get them the money. So I trust that my gains are secured and that they are protected, and that I will continue to get fit. And now plan another beach day and get my exercise in. It really worked some calves. It really worked the calves. The calves, the shin, the ankles, everything. Everything felt like it had been worked out. So my hope, my healing, my inspiration for a brighter future I've shared with you. And I trust that those that are here have my best interests in mind. As this channel continue to grow, I appreciate all of you. So you know how I align myself with my values, the partnerships that I desire, my material and spiritual goals. I've shared all that with you today. I've even shedded some nice salty tears. I have not really released like that in a while. So it's a good thing. Even if they were happy tears, I think those are the best tears. Happy tears. I didn't expect them to be so salty though. I don't know. I guess I got to drink more water. So tomorrow, even though we have some things set up for Sunday, it will not be a beach day because of the vehicle situation. If I didn't have the vehicle situation, we would make it another beach day. And that would be awesome in this Lion Gate energy. However, we're working with what we got, and we have checked out the work that was done, and we got to get some more work done. So we're going to go ahead and sit the vehicle where we sit it and go ahead and schedule some more work to be done. We give our gratitude for the good people that do good work and appreciate their affordable price. Thank you. And I guess I will sign off. Love you guys much. And until we talk again.